Well, when we finally got in Kaczynski's cabin and got his 1,000 additional documents, like a diary, autobiography, journal, he actually put in there, yes, to fool the FBI. I went into a men's room on my bus trip to San Francisco to mail these documents, and I picked up a hair on the floor. It wasn't mine, and I purposely put it under the stamp. So he's using counter forensic measures to throw off the investigation, not just leaving no clues, he's planting false ones in a case that was already 17 years old. And just the manifesto really helped us because it gave us a picture into his soul. Whenever you have language, anyone listening to us right now, Ray, if they know even a little bit about language, they can probably pick up our Philly dialects. And if we say water instead of water, daughter instead of daughter, I'm going to tap Mac for the ATM, hoagie instead of sub. But there's things like that in the manifesto that we found that we could really help an early review by a linguist, put him in the Chicago area. But then when I got involved, there were a whole lot of other clues in there too. The guy never talked about family, so he thought if he had a family, he wasn't very close to them, meaning, like a wife and kids. He was a loner, he was an introvert, and we didn't think he was living in a cabin in the middle of the woods by himself, but of course he was. So we really knew the profile. It really morphed into very close to who the Unabomber was, who Ted Kaczynski was by the time he was eventually identified. And his own language is certainly what helped us here. Only that we were a little pissed off that we found out there was a leak somewhere, not from the Unabomber Task Force, but we figure it went back to Department of Justice in D.C., and those guys all have their buddies in the media. That's why they call it the swamp. Everyone's dating each other, FBI, DOJ, and media people, politicians, lobbyists. Somehow that information got out, and they didn't have the full name, just a Polish last name. And if you watch, there's a movie called The Insider, and it's about the 60 Minutes case. Russell Crowe plays this whistleblower about the tobacco industry, and Al Pacino is in it. He plays a reporter, and there's a side story to that in which he is the guy that gets the information of the Unabomber living in Lincoln, Montana. But anyway, we realized we had to rush everything into 3 days, and the deal that Louis Freeh made with Dan Rather was, and this happens, give us 3 days. I think he gave us a week. Dan Rather said 3 days. And we had to put the case together in 3 days because if CBS News went on the air, and they would have done this, and said, the Unabomber, where they think is living in Lincoln, Montana, he would have taken off into the hills. And just like with Ruby Ridge and Waco and standoffs and all that stuff, which had happened a few years before, and we didn't want that to happen. So we put everything together, and we flew out to Montana. People were there already, but we expedited the arrest scenario, and we had the search warrant signed at the last minute in the cabin, and he was arrested, never to see the light of day again.